Taiwan's situation has suddenly turned tense. China's carrier, the Fujian, has crossed the Taiwan Strait from north to south.
The Fujian's nowhere near ready to fight on command. It's not a kill shot that decides the battle for the Strait. Its systemic combat power is still a very long way behind the US carriers. The truth is, the party has no capacity for an immediate military threat to Taiwan. It simply can't plan or command a large-scale operation right now.
Xi's goal of unifying Taiwan hasn't changed, and the military preparation hasn't stopped. But at the execution level, because of the Army's internal problems.
The window has narrowed.
5 of the 7 CMC members are now purged. The 26-article training class looks like Xi tightening his grip, but what it exposes is a serious rift between Xi and the military. From this document, Xi has already lost control of the army.
The Fujian crossing the strait. On the surface, the party flexing its muscle. But look closely and that muscle is all wasting away. But what's the real question worth watching? It's whether Beijing right now can even command this military effectively at all. Hello and welcome to PinnacleView. I'm Xuanbao. Taiwan's situation has suddenly turned tense. On June 23rd, China's carrier the Fujian crossed the Taiwan Strait from north to south, putting Taiwan on high alert. At the same time, Taiwan launched 5 straight days of immediate combat readiness drills, and the US-led multinational Western Pacific exercise, Resolute Shield, kicked off in that very same window. And on another front, Britain, France, and Germany officially, through their offices in Taiwan, issued a joint warning, voicing deep concern over the party's activity near Taiwan. The American Institute in Taiwan put out a similar statement, once again stressing the U.S. position of keeping the status quo across the strait. Tensions across the strait suddenly spiked. What on earth happened? After more than a decade of military preparation for forcibly taking Taiwan, has the party finally hit a breaking point? Today's guests are veteran journalist Ms. Guo and independent producer Mr. Li Juan. All right, before we get into today's show, I've got to do a quick ad. Sorry about that. I really want to recommend this Puritang Korean Xuanbao Black Ginseng. It's made with the old steaming method, so the ginseng's molecules get broken down finer and the absorption rate is much higher than ordinary red or white ginseng.
It's the fermentation. Once it ferments, the molecules break down and absorb easily.
Wow, now you sound like an expert.
Well, I used to work in health products.
Right, you did, okay. So here's the Puritang deal. When you buy $500 worth, they throw in a whole raw root of the 9 times steamed, 9 times sun-dried Xuanbao Black Ginseng. And when you place the order, make sure you type in the PinnacleView promo code, JYLT, and you'll get free shipping anywhere in the world. And a lot of our friends are just like us. Honestly, I tried it myself, and I think it's really pretty good.
It does help.
Right? It helps a lot. Personally, I'd recommend the 15-root raw black ginseng set even more. It's $600 a box, and they toss in 1 extra root, so you get 16 roots for $600. I think that's an excellent value. And that $168 oral liquid, I think that one's really good as well.
You can put it in chicken soup.
Chicken soup, exactly. Anyway, a product like this, if you're looking for a gift, especially for Chinese folks, for the Chinese community, I think it's perfect. Give it to family, give it to friends, give it to your elders. It's a really wonderful choice.
All right, thank you everyone for supporting PinnacleView.
You should be the one to speak for us. Go ahead.
You go first.
Thank you so much. A lot of the time, we produce this show independently, right? So we really do need your support, the viewers. I know some of you already bought this black ginseng to support PinnacleView. For one, it's good for your health. And if you've had a good experience, took it, saw a real change, leave us a comment. We can share it so people see what we recommend is good, everyone benefits, and supports us. All right, thank you.
Okay. Next time, maybe we'll do a whole episode just on ginseng, get really academic about it. Anyway, let's get back to today's subject, the Taiwan Strait. Li Jun, Britain, France, and Germany put out a joint statement on Taiwan. I have honestly never seen that happen before. It's extremely rare. So what is Europe so worried about?
The timing was too perfect. It came as the Fujian crossed the strait north to south, right when Taiwan launched its 5-day combat readiness drills. At the same time, Beijing was stepping up Coast Guard activity off Taiwan's east coast. The Fujian's an electromagnetic catapult carrier, in service just half a year. Taiwan tracked it the whole way and released the footage. Europe saw it clearly, not isolated, but part of a coordinated squeeze.
Right.
In the past, Europe leaned so heavily on China's economy, it rarely spoke on Taiwan, let alone a joint statement from its missions. But now they've realized that the parties' gray zone tactics have shifted from abstract geopolitics into a direct threat to their own wallets and their supply chain security. That's exactly why they stepped out so unusually this time. It also shows the parties' decade of war preparation has driven tension up, but it's pushed more and more countries onto a shared front against Beijing. Europe's stance this time is a signal they're starting to seriously calculate the real price of a crisis in the Taiwan Strait.
This time it's specifically because the Fujian carrier sailed right through the Taiwan Strait. Crossed it. But is the Fujian really that big a deal? The Fujian hasn't actually formed full combat capability yet, has it?
Right, but it really is the most advanced carrier the Chinese Navy has now. It displaces 80 to 85,000 tons, the largest in Asia, and the biggest carrier anywhere outside the United States. It uses an electromagnetic catapult system. It's China's first catapult launch carrier, so it can launch more and heavier aircraft. Down the line, it'll carry the J-15, the stealth J-35, and crucially, the KJ-600 airborne early warning plane, building a genuine blue water carrier strike group. Symbolically, that's enormously important. It marks the Chinese Navy's leap from near-shore defense to far seas power projection. Of course, the reality is the Fujian isn't anywhere near ready to fight on a moment's notice. It was only formally commissioned in November 2025, barely half a year ago, and its carrier air group is still being integrated.
The aircraft aren't on board yet.
Right. The KJ-600 and J-35 carrier work, that training isn't mature yet. At the current pace, if it's going to reach genuine, complete combat capability, that's probably late this year or sometime next year. It's just like the American Ford-class carrier. A new carrier usually takes years from commissioning to fighting a real war.
Many years, yeah.
So then, why is Taiwan this nervous? Because even if it isn't fully mature, having it appear in the Taiwan Strait every so often is still very real, tangible pressure.
Right.
It can push stronger air power around Taiwan, and with the Coast Guard operations off the East Coast, that's a multi-directional squeeze. It's also testing how fast Taiwan and the US military react.
Let me put this to Miss Guo. Everybody feels like the Taiwan Strait is really tense right now. Are they actually going to do something soon? Are they going to go to war? What is it that has everyone so on edge?
War, my read, it's simply not possible. That doesn't mean the situation is peaceful, though. The party sailing the Fujian carrier through the strait and the Coast Guard going out to warn and enforce off eastern Taiwan, those two moves actually have no direct connection to forcibly taking Taiwan. The real trigger this time is the Japan-Philippines maritime line.
Japan and
the Philippines drawing a sea boundary. On May 28th, after their summit, Japan's PM Takaichi and Philippine President Marcos issued a joint statement, opening talks to draw their exclusive economic zone boundary. And the waters they'd carve up sit right off eastern Taiwan, exactly Taiwan's lawful 200-mile zone, overlapping heavily with the Japan-Philippines claim.
Actually, I don't know if our director has the map ready. Put the map up. It'll make this a lot clearer for everyone. Look at Japan and the Philippines. Japan's on top, the Philippines below, right? And Taiwan sits down below this island here. You see that line in the middle? Below the line are the Philippines' Batanes Islands, and above it is Ishigaki, the very southern tip of Okinawa, right around the Senkaku Islands. Know how far apart they are? That gap is 450 kilometers. 450 kilometers, that's close. That's very close. So Japan and the Philippines call themselves neighbors, but come on, pull the map open and look. They're far apart, nearly 1,500 kilometers from each other. That's land to land. But island to island, it comes down to about 500 kilometers. So what's the real question here? The real question is, in this spot, where they're drawing the line, what are Japan and the Philippines actually fighting over? Few realize it. They're fighting over the fish in the Kuroshio Current. Right, because this part is actually pretty fascinating. Out in the Pacific, there's the second largest warm current in the world. This warm current runs up from near the equator, passes the Philippines, comes close to Taiwan, and keeps flowing north. Producer, put that map back up for a second, right? It basically follows this line we're looking at, runs north all the way up to Honshu in Japan, and only then swings back out into the Pacific, so it draws a big loop. This warm current brings in enormous amounts of plankton, so the fish schools follow it, the little fish follow the plankton, then the big fish follow the small fish, and the giant whales follow the big fish. So it's basically a moving belt of fish. That's why the Kuroshio is so important. It's all bound up with the local fishermen. You can see the whole course of the Kuroshio right here. It runs up along this path. It's an extremely important ocean current, and that's exactly why so many of the shipping lanes in the Asia-Pacific and East Asia track right along it. So it's an ocean current, it's a shipping route, and it's a belt of fish, all at the same time. In the past, China's coastal fishermen never sailed that far out to fish, and Taiwan's fishermen didn't either. It was mainly Japan and the Philippines out there, which is why the dispute is between them. So now they want to draw a line, your side, my side. They've worked it out between them. The trouble is, legally, Taiwan's waters extend 200 nautical miles out. So by drawing your line, you're basically grabbing a piece of what's Taiwan's.
That's Taiwan's. That's Taiwan's. Taiwan is mine.
Here's where it gets interesting. Classic China.
Beijing reacted fast. On May 29th, spokeswoman Mao Ning called the talks illegal and void, insisting China has held these waters east of Taiwan for centuries, since the Qing. The economic zone and continental shelf are China's because Taiwan is China's. So the waters extending out from Taiwan are theirs, and no one may touch that sea.
Right.
And the words were barely out on June 1st, the China Coast Guard, with cutters, right? A formation moved into the waters off eastern Taiwan, openly calling it necessary action against the unilateral Japan-Philippines move. Then China's Ministry of Transport had the Fujian and Guangdong Maritime Safety Bureaus carry out a joint special maritime enforcement operation in the sea east of Taiwan Island. It's the first time the party has openly sent maritime agencies to enforce east of Taiwan.
Right. Now, it's not just inside the Taiwan Strait that he wants to control. He won't even recognize the waterway in the Taiwan Strait as international waters. To him, it's internal waters. And now he wants to control the waters east of Taiwan as well, out into the Pacific. That side belongs to him too, the whole thing. So the reach just keeps expanding, right? The claim just keeps growing.
The core issue, the waters east of Taiwan are now claimed by 4 parties: China, Japan, the Philippines, and Taiwan.
Right.
Like you said, the Kuroshio makes this a crucial spot. Using the Japan-Philippines line as a pretext, the party for the first time extended enforcement to Taiwan's east. That's the most alarming part of all this. So this time it's not about war, it's about claiming position. In law, in enforcement, turning the waters east of Taiwan into a routine patrol zone for the party.
So it sounds like, in the near term, Taiwan probably won't see things actually break out into war. Because realistically, Trump held off on that visit a while ago, and they established some sort of strategic stability relationship, so there's at least a 3-year window there. So you don't think the party would suddenly turn around and hit Taiwan with some kind of military threat? What's your take?
Honestly, the party has no real capacity for an immediate military threat to Taiwan now, and not because it doesn't want to. It simply can't plan or command a large-scale operation right now. The root is the CMC's state today. On January 24th, they announced Xi had locked up his military number 2, Zhang Youxia, a shock with no precedent since the regime's founding. Zhang Youxia and Shi, their fathers were comrades back in Shanxi. They're among the few serving generals who've actually seen combat. He fought in the Sino-Vietnamese War, one of the few in the PLA who really understand soldiering. A former U.S. defense official said it flatly, Zhang was the only one who could give Xi an objective read on China's strength and the cost of war, and Xi took him down too. With Zhang gone, plus He Weidong before him, 5 of the 7 CMC members are purged, only Xi and Zhang Shengmin remain. Xi chairs it, but he's a civilian, no military rank. And Zhang Shengmin's background is discipline inspection, purges, not warfighting.
The political commissar track, exactly.
There's another very important signal. Xi is, in reality, already in a highly tense, highly hostile standoff with part of the military. New full general appointments simply can't get pushed through, because appointing a new full general requires the signature of the CMC chairman. Xi is the chairman, but from what we understand, Xi is locked in an adversarial standoff with another top-level power command center, a decision-making and coordination group, and that's brought almost all senior military personnel moves to a halt. You need his signature to appoint, but the other side won't sign, and they've got their own stake.
Look at what we're seeing here. Zhang Youxia is still there. That clip we just ran, was that late last year or early this year? I think it was
Late last year,
late last year. Yes, Xi was conferring rank on 2 new full generals. And look at his face. He's deeply displeased, really unhappy, because those men were apparently the ones Zhang Youxia's side had put forward.
and Zhang Youxia is sitting right beside him.
Right. He's deeply unhappy. It's written all over his face. Zhang Youxia and Liu Zhenli are both sitting there. Right, both.
Beside him. So he won't go along with it. Half a year since the Zhang Youxia affair, still no new general.
The CMC seats are unfilled too.
Right, can't be filled. The 2 centers are deadlocked. And the Joint Command needs people too. Neither holds, so a war was already unlikely. The strategic stability framework Trump and Xi set runs 3 years past the 21st Party Congress when new personnel slot in. So Xi has to secure his re-election first. Within 3 years, he can't mount one. So my judgment, short term, the party won't launch a large-scale operation against Taiwan. The capability isn't there, and politically it's not permitted, but the risk of a crisis still exists. It really does. So whether some accident breaks out, that's genuinely hard to say.
From all the various reports we've seen, Xi does still seem to have a firm grip on the military because, over the past 2 months, Beijing apparently ran a high-level training class for senior military commanders, right? It's dedicated to studying Xi's military thought, and a very important part of it is these so-called 26 articles the CMC just introduced. Right now, nobody knows what's actually inside them, so what on earth are these 26 articles?
These 26 articles actually expose a tremendous amount.
Really?
Yes. Strip away the official jargon and look at the substance. What it exposes is grim. On the surface, the class looks like Xi tightening his grip. But read it closely and it's the opposite. It exposes a serious rift between Xi and the military. Judging from this document, Xi has in fact already lost control of the army, and he's completely lost mutual trust with his top generals. That's exactly why he needs a production on this scale to rebuild a system of control. Article 1 of the 26 is more thought reform. A normally functioning army doesn't need to have its thinking.
The army building line.
Right? It's essentially ideological remolding. In his language, you can't get anything out. You have to translate it into plain, concrete terms. What's it really about? You have to run it through a translation. He puts thought reform first, over combat power, logistics, fighting ability. One reading. Xi thinks many top officers won't obey. That's the real reason for this political rectification. Second, strengthen collective party committee leadership. And that one is actually frightening. It sounds like democratic centralism, sounds fine, but really it limits each theater commander's power to decide on his own. Meaning a theater or army commander can't call the shots himself.
Commanders of every branch.
None of them can decide alone. Every major decision goes to collective review. Xi fears generals making decisions that bypass the center, so he wants to choke their independent room. How do you fight like that? Third, total surveillance, and even scarier. It used to be that a problem came up and then you investigated. Anti-corruption after the fact. Now it's total continuous monitoring, watched every day, managed every day, recorded every day. By his own list, that includes finances, personnel moves, who they meet, not after the fact review, but preemptive surveillance. In other words, Xi's trust in his generals has fallen so low, he watches them in advance before you've even made a move. Fourth, and this is all stated outright, bring the generals' families and social circles under control as well. A lot of people assume this is about fighting corruption, about stopping cronyism, but the deeper intent is to sever the personal connections between the generals. The party's own history is clear. Factions don't form in the office. They form over drinks, hometown ties, family, shared interests. So saying even their private lives must be controlled is meant to stop generals from building horizontal political ties.
The greatest problem with the communist system is the gun barrel. Whoever grabs the gun and makes trouble, look at Mao back in the day. At the Zunyi conference, he didn't grab party power first. He became head of the military leadership group. He seized military power first, and only afterward came the party power. So honestly, in my own mind, I keep wondering, how could an army like that ever fight a war? Frankly, there's no way it could fight. If you need to make a decision on the battlefield, and it's a major one, you first have to convene the party committee to discuss it and decide it. Honestly, the way it's set up, any major decision has to be discussed collectively.
Right, an army commander and the commissar.
And promoting junior officers isn't a personal matter either. As an army commander, if I promote a regiment commander or a company commander, that's not for me to decide as an individual. It has to go through the party committee. So promoting people and commanding in battle are completely cut apart from one another. So on all of this, frankly, I'm already, what's your read? It basically amounts to the party's military threat to Taiwan getting smaller and smaller. At least for the next 3 years or so, this is something we can essentially set aside.
Right, you have to break this apart. Short-term and long-term differ. Some background. At the 19th Party Congress in 2017, Xi amended the party constitution to stay on, promising the party he'd settle Taiwan in his tenure, by force if necessary, right? The general read outside, he'd staked his political life on it, to get the thing done within roughly the next 10 years. And looking at the timeline, around 2027 is just about the deadline he set for himself. A lot of US intelligence then also saw 2027 as the clearest window for Taiwan. By then, China's carriers, missiles, and amphibious power might hit a temporary peak. And Xi would have hit the point where he must deliver. But looking at it now, in 2026, the danger really has come down. Why? It's mostly what Ms. Guo already laid out. The key is that Xi is internally unstable. Over these past few years, he's purged the military, the rocket force, the navy, these forces, and basically cleaned out the entire senior officer corps. After Xi took down Zhang Youxia, it caused a huge internal split and top command has been broken. With the army this shaken, Xi doesn't actually control it right now. Add the economic downturn, local debt, youth unemployment. If Xi launched a high-risk Taiwan war now, I doubt the party or army would back him. And once fighting starts, it could spiral out of control. Even he might find people turning on him at the end, hard to say. The political risk there is simply too great. So from that angle, in the short term, the party's will and capacity for a big move look held back by these internal problems. But that doesn't mean the threat shrank, only that execution risk rose for now. Many US agencies also think that if Xi holds power and wins the next term, then the 5 years from 2027 to 2032 could actually turn out to be the more dangerous stretch. By then, he may feel time's short, that he must leave a legacy of unifying Taiwan, his dream. If he beats the internal problems, or rallies people with nationalism, the war risk could surge back. Trump did say earlier that Xi won't attack Taiwan before 2028. And there's a lot wrapped up in that line, because he was talking privately with Xi in Beijing, over tea, and only said it publicly after he came back. So you can pretty much conclude that within Trump's term, Xi won't move on Taiwan, but after 2028, it could be different. So my judgment is that, strategically, the party's military threat to Taiwan hasn't actually shrunk. Xi's goal of unifying Taiwan hasn't changed, and military preparation hasn't stopped. It's only at the execution level, because of the army's internal problems, that the window has been narrowed. But this is only a temporary drop in the danger. The structural risk remains firmly in place. So at this point, we can assess that he needs a stretch of time, that the internal side has to settle and grind into alignment, right? And China's economy has hit big problems too. To fight a war now, with so much internal opposition,
The key now is re-election. Without it, he has nothing. Right, so he might wait 3 or 5 more years. The question everyone keeps asking is this. Ms. Guo, what's your take? Does the party really have 5 years left?
The way this commander's training class was arranged looks, on the surface, like Xi consolidating loyalty within the ranks. But there's a further detail in it that I think a lot of people haven't noticed. The 2 full generals who hold command of 2 key theaters, the Eastern Theater Command Commander Yang Jurbin and the Central Theater Command Commander Han Shengyan, did not both attend this meeting in Beijing at the same time. Yang Jurbin was the one absent. Both of those posts are filled by Air Force men, and both were actually appointed late last year in 2025 under Zhang Youxia's direction. That's the background. It ties to Hu Jintao's Air Force influence. Hu prized the Air Force, and men like Xu Qiliang were his people. So these 2 not entering Beijing together is no accident. It's the lesson of Zhang Youxia, guarding against being taken out in one ambush.
Oh, you think that's it? Both can't appear at once?
The lesson was just 2.
Like a vice president can't...
The lesson was brutal. Zhang Youxia and Liu Zhenli were taken down at the same moment. Apart, it wouldn't have ended so badly. Apart, the outcome wouldn't have been this grim.
They were both at the party school.
Right, both taken down. So now it's a real taboo in China. Senior officers must be careful. Don't let your core people all show up in Beijing at once.
So today we've watched the Fujian sail across the Taiwan Strait. On the surface, the party flexing its muscles a bit, but look closely at that muscle and it's actually all wasting away. But what's the question really worth watching here? It's whether Beijing can actually command this military effectively right now. This time, the CMC really is in trouble. The problems between the generals, including these 26 articles, they just about love to plant a chip in every single officer's head. Honestly, that's exactly what he wants to do right now. I think the Taiwan Strait, in the short term, the next few years, is probably relatively safe. But a regime that's losing control internally and that needs to manufacture crises abroad, if it hits the wrong situation, that could actually turn dangerous instead. So what we're really watching here is the power struggle inside the party and whether the destructive force of that storm spills outward into the surrounding region. That's something all of us need to be on guard for. Many thanks to our 2 guests, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.